check in on the Chicago Bears. Last pass of the year wasn't great, Caleb to DJ Moore, but there were some excellent highlights.
Call it like it was a pick.
Well, I know.
Nick and Danny both hate picks at the end of games.
Except when Caleb does. When Caleb does,
yeah, they took it.
It was someone else's fault.
They praised it.
Caleb this season when targeting DJ Moore, Danny, second in completions, third in passing yards, first in touchdowns, 6. Passer rating of 102, it's his third best. Nothing to shake a stick at. But now he's in Buffalo. What's this mean for your guy, Caleb?
I think this day the season ended, I said I expected DJ Moore to be done with the Bears. So I think Caleb clearly more plugged in than I am. He's been expecting this. This was pretty telegraphed based on, yes, some of it was relationship based, but I think that was really overblown. I think it's young quarterback coming into the league, 2 systems in 2 years. He gets drafted with his friend, Rome Odunze, so they have the better chemistry at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then Ben Johnson comes in. They draft Burden and Loveland. Those guys, like Loveland is Ben Johnson's first pick, so he's a focal point early. And DJ Moore, just for whatever, still good, still talented, still tough, still had big moments, but he got a little lost in the shuffle in terms of chemistry with Caleb. And this was about a reallocation of resources because, honestly, for maybe the first time in my life, the Bears can lose a good skill position player, and I'm like, that's okay. They're one of 2 teams in the league that had 4 guys catch over 600 yards last year. And the other 3, Loveland, Burden, and Odunze, are all first or second year players. They're basically the same age as Caleb. But they have huge holes elsewhere on the team. Center, defensive tackle, maybe linebacker, certainly D-end. But this trade, and we'll show what they all of a sudden have, and some of this is, you did not want Drew Dahlman to retire. We hope he's okay, but it did free up some cap space. They're now a middle-of-the-pack team in cap space, expected to get more when they move on from Tremaine Edmonds. And they've got 4 picks in the top 90 of this draft. So if I'm Caleb, I turn on the alerts on my phone and I get ready to see what's next. They're going to be wheeling and dealing both with the free agency and with the draft in 50 days. This team is not...
Cap space $17 million doesn't really...
No, but I know, but it's...
Raise my eyebrows.
I get it, but I'm saying it's middle of the pack, and Tremaine Edmonds is about to move or get restructured. That number's only going up. Okay. So they do have
I think it's like 16th in the league.
Correct.
So I know it doesn't sound like a ton, but there's a lot of teams that are their cap space right now is they just got cap compliant. They have 400 grand. There's a handful of teams that have huge money, but then it's more like that.
And this move, part of it is the second-round pick, and part of it is now they have cap space. Today they can be a lot more aggressive in free agency on Monday than they were before this trade.
So you said 4 picks in the top 90. You have picks 25 and 57 are your own.
Yeah,
Pick
but then
60 you got from the Bills. Would you trade those 3 picks for Max Crosby? A first and 2 late seconds for Max Crosby, and then use free agency to try to either sign Linderbaum or address your offensive line elsewhere. To me, is would I trade a first, a second, and DJ Moore for Max Crosby? That feels like probably, whether you do it or not, about what the price is going to be, right? That it's going to be something like that?
Yeah.
Is that business you think they should do?
I no longer think they're going to. Bill Barnwell put it at DJ Moore in a first. Now maybe the McDuffie thing drove it up. So that feels a little rich for what it is. Most of the reporting seems to think that the Bears are actually not now the number 1 suitor for Crosby. I think that is maybe tied to the Dahlman retirement because it's another premium position that's needed. But trust me, if the Bears traded for Max Crosby, he's a top 10 player at that position, at their biggest position in need, I'd be on here celebrating.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I would absolutely celebrate the trade, but I no longer think Max Crosby is going to be a Bear.
Well, look, there's not much controversy here. I agree. I think DJ Moore is very good, but I don't think Caleb will miss him at all, assuming that Odunze and Burden are healthy. And, obviously Loveland as a tight end, I think their offense will be fine. if they could get Crosby, I mean, I would certainly try to do that if I'm them. And like you said, maybe you can use your money on Linderbaum. Like, I mean, this was a great move. We'll get to the Bills, but a great move for both teams.
So they couldn't have done this because he has, like, the $24 million this is freeing up was guaranteed. It only moves off your books if you trade him, not if you cut him. But I want to, as far as how much I support this move for the Bears, if that was non-guaranteed money, I think it would have been good for the Bears to flat cut DJ Moore to free up that money, even if they got nothing in return, just because where he is in the pecking order on the team and the other needs. Like, to the point you're making.
The reallocation of resources.
Right. I think he would go into next season as their fourth option passing the ball. I think it'll be Loveland first, and then we'll see who emerges as the one between Odunze and Burden. But I do think it matters that Ben Johnson drafted Burden, and that Odunze was a top 10 pick that clearly they think, has room to grow.
Yeah.
So and it did feel to me, I'm not sitting here saying they wouldn't have made this trade if the last pass of the season wasn't a miscommunication between Caleb and DJ Moore that ended in an interception. But I think it's fair that you're saying, Danny, the relationship issues were overblown, but I don't think it's overblown to say for some reason DJ Moore and Caleb never really gelled and got on the same page on the field the way I think a lot of us thought or hoped they would.
Yeah, and that's what I was alluding to, like the fit between them. Like I know that Caleb and Odunze, like they worked out for the draft together.
Yeah.
And then they got drafted to the same team. They work out together in the offseason. So like they had chemistry immediately. Then a new offense comes in, and they really did a lot to get Loveland up to speed because it was Ben Johnson's first pick. So kind of Loveland jumped DJ Moore. Burden was hurt last year in training camp, but then he came on so strong at the end that he just, for whatever reason, he was never Caleb's number one guy, and I think those things that I just said were the biggest reason.
Well, and he probably wouldn't have been happy, understandably. Like, if as the fourth option, he's still, I think, in his prime, less than 30 years old. Like, he probably wouldn't have been happy.
When he had the game winner against Green Bay in the regular season, he got the game ball at the end. Like, he's like, it's about time. And that was late in the year. Like, DJ Moore was just really frustrated with his role in the offense. He didn't dislike Caleb. He just thought he should have gotten the ball more.
All right, well, it might be a win-win. We'll go to Buffalo, where Josh Allen's got a new coach and a new number one. DJ Moore headed to Buffalo along with the 2026 fifth-round pick from the Bears. So here were DJ Moore's numbers again. No Bills wide receiver had more than 4 touchdowns in 2025. And these are okay numbers. They're also the lowest of DJ Moore's career. His best year was when he was with Joe Brady, now the Bills head coach in Carolina, 1,200 yards, 18.1 yards per catch. So, Danny, again, how much better did this make the Bills and Josh Allen?
Significantly. I mean, for Josh Allen, it's obviously his best receiver since Stephon Diggs, which is a little bit damning with faint praise, but still, Khalil Shakir's been their leader, like you mentioned, the last 2 years, with last year just over 700 yards, 2 years ago just over 800 yards. And DJ Moore has 4 seasons in his career where he's had at least 1,100 yards. The principal quarterback in those 4 seasons are Justin Fields, Kyle Allen, Teddy Bridgewater, and Carolina's version of Sam Darnold. So, like, if he is the number one option in a high-volume passing attack, because he was not the number one option for the Bears in Ben Johnson's offense for the reasons we just talked about. But assuming he goes back to that in Buffalo, and it's with Josh Allen, I mean, he's 3 years younger than Stephon Diggs and the same age as A.J. Brown. Like, it's on the board that DJ Moore is a top 10 receiver in football for Buffalo next year. That's absolutely in play.
No, I love it for the Bills. And I think, look, A.J. Brown, I would have saluted that. But, the possibility of distractions comes along with A.J. Brown. Mike Evans, I would have been fine with that.
Much older.
But his age, yes. Is he still even in his prime? Is he still a number one guy? Those are legitimate questions. None of that, I don't think, exists with DJ Moore. Like, we know he can produce. I still think he's in his prime. He's going to be 29 years old next season. The money is not bad. He's locked up till 2029. The money's like $24 million a year. Like, I think he will be a very good number one for them. I think it's comparable. They're different types of players, but like an Amari Cooper, when he went to Dallas or something like that.
Oh, when he went to Dallas.
Yeah, no, not now, but like that type of level of, you're not getting Justin Jefferson or anything like that, but you're getting a legit number one guy that can help you and be productive.
I think that all makes sense, and I think the Bills it was incumbent upon Brandon Beane to, and he, by the way, should call, what was that radio show? Jimmy and Joe?
The show on WGR?
Yeah. That he called, remember he called him and yelled at him? Because they were
we led the league in points.
Receivers.
Why do I need receivers?
So he should have called them and been like, sorry, fellas, you guys were right. And then incumbent on him to do something in this position before free agency opens, or else you're just a little over a barrel when it comes to, are we going to have to overpay for Alec Pierce? Are we going to, make a desperation overpay trade for Brian Thomas Jr., like where teams or agents can really hold you in negotiation, because you can't then be like, all right, we have the 26th pick of the draft. We'll just hope that a receiver that we believe can step in as a number one, as a rookie, is going to be there. But what I will say is, I have a Bills concern and a DJ Moore concern. The Bills concern is just when you have not broken through and you are trying, through fighting and clawing, it really hurts to miss on Keon Coleman.
I'm not sure they've missed.
Well, they are. They are. I mean, they're sure.
So far.
The same, Joe Brady said me becoming the head coach is the best thing that could happen to Keon Coleman. Maybe it was damage control, but we've seen guys sort of not pop their rookie year and then.
But this was his rookie year and his sophomore year.
Year 3 wide receiver.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I think that if we just did where DJ Moore would have been in the Bears pecking order, Keon right now, as far as pass catchers, is number 6 on the Bills pecking order. And so, I think that, I just think
cut
that
him. I think teams would take a flyer on him.
So maybe
they definitely would.
Oh, I'm not saying that.
I don't think this means he's done there or anything like that.
I don't think it means he's done as a player, but I think that the idea that the Bills are going to, in 5 years, be like, that was a good pick, I think that's done. He's not going to have the opportunity.
The problem is, if Keon Coleman drops his first ball, it's just a disaster.
Or if he oversleeps one more meeting, like those.
You can't do that anymore.
But then the other thing I just want to say to the group real quick, just throw it out there. It is, at least typically for receivers, if it's like, hey, the production was here, and then it went here, and then it went here, we would say, oh, they're on the downside. Nobody seems to be saying that about DJ Moore. Mm-mm. He was 1,300 yards his first year in Chicago with Justin Fields. He was, 800 Caleb's rookie year, and 600 last year, and nobody is even a little concerned. Part of that is, for some reason, he peaked early and instantly, and that he's not the same player. That would be, I'm not even saying I believe that, but I'm saying I think it's a valid, at least small concern when you're seeing the production drop like that in his late 20s. That's all I would say.
I just think he's going to get a lot higher volume this year from a really talented quarterback.
50 catches on 85 targets, though, is not, you'd like a little higher catch percentage? I don't know.
How were the balls?
From Caleb?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Right on target. right in the numbers.
We never talked about
check it on the Cowboys. Jerry Jones said he was going to break the budget in free agency, and it was music to Dak's ears. Danny, quickly, I'm gonna take a quick sidebar. We don't get a ton of quarterback press conferences in the offseason. In Dak, every year we see stuff, and is always at a charity event.
Yeah.
He just does such an amazing job. So before we dive in on the Cowboys, shout out to Dak Prescott for always being available and just being a great guy.
Absolutely.
He gets it from his owner.
Yeah, buying Cowboys, making a big jump.
So, as a team, maybe, but I want to react to the Jerry part of it first, because it's such a low bar to clear when Jerry's I'm going to spend more than I've spent. They haven't been a top 10 spender in free agency since 2012. They have not given out a $50 million contract in free agency since Nick's buddy Brandon Carr.
Oh, yeah.
In 2012.
I broke that story. On the radio in Kansas City.
yeah,
That's
dude.
true.
Yeah, but think about it. You're doing radio in Kansas City the last time the Dallas Cowboys gave out a $50 million free agency contract. In free agency, right. I mean, the highest AAV guy last year was Dante Fowler, $6 million. The year before that's $4 million. So for Jerry to spend big, it doesn't have to be anything really significant. Having said that, if they hit on the 12th and 20th pick of the draft and Jerry actually does what he's saying and they sign Trey Hendrickson or trade for Max Crosby, like, yeah, of course they can take a huge jump. Like they do have a great offense. Yeah. Their coach looks good, and they do have a lot of ammo this offseason to add. So, like, say they had the draft that the Rams had a couple years ago when they hit on Jared Verse and Brandon Fisk with their first 2 picks.
And the year before, the Rams hit on some guys.
Right, and just like remade their defensive line in one offseason. Like, if they do that, now that is a
and they draft well, though. They're a good draft.
Right, but and now listen, that's a huge if to apply that amazing Rams draft to this team and say it happened. Like they do have the ammo to do it if Jerry actually lives up to what he's saying.
Well, here's the thing. First of all, Dak, you're right, great guy. But I feel like Dak says a version of that every year. You know, he's optimistic. He's always going into the season optimistic. So that's number one. And number two, even if they take the jump, what are we talking about? You know what? They'll get back to where they were a few years ago with Mike McCarthy. Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we're talking about.
12 wins every year.
Yeah, I think they could definitely do that. But that's not what they need to do. They need to go further than that. And I guess it would be a possibility because I could see them being, all these years they failed. I didn't necessarily think they had no shot at getting out of the NFC, but they just can't seem to get it done.
Listen, I think that with the right offseason, they could be the best team in that division. Part of that is my own skepticism about what Philly's going to be. Sure. But before we had the DJ Moore news in the show, which kind of changed our rundown, there was a topic that involved the Super Bowl odds. And we had the list of the top 10 Super Bowl odds. I don't know if we still have that graphic. If we do, we could throw it up. If not, the reason I mention it is
18th.
So that's why.
My bad.
No, you're fine. The Super Bowl odds at this time of year, perfect. It's kind of a quarterback test plus the defending champ Seahawks. It's like, who are the best quarterbacks in the league? Oh, they have good Super Bowl odds. To have a quarterback as good as Dak and to have the 18th best odds means Vegas, I think, correctly has clocked your defense as an abomination. Because what's the great quarterback whose team is not listed there? There you go. And why? Because the defense is an abomination. And so, in order for them to make a big jump, Danny's right, they have to draft, they need an entirely new secondary almost. They also need at least one edge rusher. They also need they need everything on defense except for Quinnen Williams' spots, Overshown's spot. Yeah, they have one safety. And so they need to, earmuffs Wilds, sign Trey Hendrickson and draft defense at 12 and draft defense at 20 and have them be impactful. Because I agree with Danny's overall point historically, and Bruce as well. The Cowboys' offense with Dak Prescott hums. You know what I mean? The playoff struggles, set that aside. That offense clicks and scores points. But when you have CD coming back, in theory Pickens coming back, they re-signed Javonte, offensive line's fine, and nobody thinks you're in a brutal division. Because the Giants are where they are, Washington's a little question, and Philly's at least wobbly a little bit. And at the 18th best odds, it means the defense is what Vegas thinks. They had the worst defense in the league last year, which they did, that they might have that again. And that's the only way to make the jump. It won't be about Dak.
Right.
Defense wins championships, what he's trying to say. Took a long time.
Great job putting the Super Bowl odds up.
That was good, Hobbs. You're on
Hobbs,
your A
thank you.
game.
Happy Frenemies Thursday here on the OT.
It's been a while since we've done this.
That's true. A couple
Yeah.
dark weeks, and
Yeah.
now you're going on vacation again. You deserve it. Nick, I'm in this seat. It just felt appropriate. All right, so your Chiefs trade away Trent McDuffie to the Rams. You're, of course, happy with the picks and the return and all things Chiefs. But if we take a look at the Super Bowl odds, post-trade, the Rams have become the favorite.
Yes.
So obviously the odds makers liking the addition for Les Snead, Sean McVay, Matt Stafford, and the Rams. Does the fact that the Rams are the Super Bowl favorites after the McDuffie trade at all change your opinion on losing McDuffie?
No, listen, because I think this was a definitive win for the Rams. Like, it does not mean it was a loss for the Chiefs, even though losing McDuffie is a loss, but it doesn't mean they lost the trade.
They're worse today.
Right, but I want to make this part very clear. I think the Rams might be the only team in the league that could give up what they gave up for McDuffie, and I would support it. The giving up the 29th pick, a third, a fifth, and a sixth, and the reporting of they're going to make him the highest paid corner in the football. If any other team did it, I might call it irresponsible. The Rams are unique for two reasons. One is they're the only team that has a legitimate chance to win the Super Bowl with a really old quarterback.
Yep.
So the window is
The 38-year-old Stafford
right.
pieces, obviously.
It's the end of Breeze in New Orleans, or like where you should definitely go all in. And the other one is the only thing the Rams seem as an organization to do poorly is draft secondary pieces. All they do is trade for him.
Yep.
They traded for Marcus Peters with the Chiefs. They traded for the best Jalen Ramsey with the Jags, and now they traded for Trent McDuffie. That's the one spot they haven't been able to get right. So for both of those reasons, I support it for the Rams. But I think the Chiefs got 120 cents on the dollar. I think they got such a good return, and the Chiefs are the opposite of the Rams when it comes to drafting and developing corners. Jalen Watson was the same draft class as McDuffie's 7th-round pick. He started alongside him the whole time. They do really, really good at drafting and developing that position.
So I actually think all of that is fair. The piece on the Chiefs side, I think McDuffie is really good.
Yes.
And I think the reporting is also that the Rams intend and believe that he can play more outside. That he is not just a nickel corner, not that just nickel is a bad thing, because it's a super valuable position. And so losing a premium player at a premium position that one of the best organizations in football deems is worth that cost, even if you also are a premium organization with a premium GM, it would give me pause. And when you're talking about, I was just looking at your top cap hits for next year. Chris Jones at $44 million, that's high. Mahomes 2, Trey Smith 3. You like all those guys. Nick Bolton, Jalen Moore, Creed Humphrey, Karlaftis, Fulton. Obviously, Creed Humphrey is excellent. I feel like you'd like to have Trent McDuffie's name in there instead of a couple of other of these guys.
Well, but so two things. One is, right now, last offseason, they signed Bolton and Karlaftis. 1 year in, those contracts don't look great.
Right.
I think Karlaftis had a down year. Bolton seems to be a guy that Spags, says we have to have. I don't see it quite the way he does, but I give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't know that I agree with you. This is a premium position. So I think that
corner in a passing NFL?
So let me do it like this. Positions that I find more premium than corner. Quarterback.
Yeah.
Pass rusher. So edge rusher.
Sure. 2.
So edge rusher 2. Left tackle 3. Wide receiver 4. D tackle 5.
Oh, okay. Well,
but by the way, the money supports me on that.
The franchise tag value. But there's also
And so I don't think it's, safety or guard or off-ball linebacker, but I think corner is kind of the mesh point between the premium positions and the non-premium positions. And I just think it would be, I didn't want to pay Trent McDuffie $30 million a year. And these are the tough decisions you have to make. Now, if you're saying, do it all over again and take away your 3 worst contracts on the team and give that to McDuffie, sure. But I don't think that's, you can necessarily,
time travel doesn't
figure
exist.
that out.
Yeah, I understand time travel doesn't exist, and you have 3 or 4 corners on the field at once, and there's only 32 left tackles in the league, which goes to the franchise tag thing. I just think McDuffie's a really good player.
And I want to say this to be very clear before we move on. The first 9 playoff games Trent McDuffie played with the Chiefs, they won. The Super Bowl against the Niners, he had the quarterback pressure that helped get them off the field to win that game. I think he is an awesome player, and he's young. He's 25.
Right, and you drafted and developed him. It's hard to say goodbye to those guys.
Right,
man.
and so I am not all of a sudden going to be like, I don't think he's overrated. I think he's properly rated. I think he's the best slot corner in the league, and we'll see what he is as an outside. I think these are the tough decisions you have to make if you want to have a 15-year period of contention.
All right, let's talk about the biggest story in the NBA here. Jason Tatum hasn't played since rupturing his Achilles, but it was only back in May, about 10 months ago. Reports are Tatum will play this season, could debut tomorrow night when they're hosting the Mavs in Boston. All right, Celtics are currently 2nd in the East. Everyone saw your award-winning take of the day. So I guess, of course, they're the favorite in the East. Make your case, because you have them winning the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think that they are clearly now the team to beat in the East. And so I'll start there. And I would stack it very differently than you.
Yeah.
Celtics with Tatum 1, the New York Knicks 2, the Detroit Pistons 3, and the Cleveland Cavaliers 4 is how I would stack it. I think Boston, the way to look at it for me that I think is easier for people to kind of wrap their minds around would be if Boston at the trade deadline had added the 27th best player in the league and gave up nothing, given where they were.
They traded for Vooch.
But a better player than that. If Boston at the deadline, I'm trying to think of a guy his style, had added, kind of peak DeMar DeRozan.
Okay.
Or slightly post-peak DeMar DeRozan. What would that do for them? Because that's how I look at this. I don't look at this as they are adding peak Jason Tatum. I look at it as they're adding a 6'9" guy with a ton of huge game experience who is going to score the ball for you at least at a better clip than Hauser and Shireman were, and not disrupt the rotation. And that, to me, with the fact that they simply have hacked the math better than anybody else, is enough to put them certainly over the top in the Eastern Conference.
So listen, there's 20 games left. You obviously have to roll the dice because he was a first-team All-NBA guy. He is an amazing two-way player when healthy. You can't say no to him. He had the Achilles surgery within 18 hours of rupturing, and he's done everything possible to come back. He's emulating Kobe. He ruptured it earlier than guys should be rupturing their Achilles because of the style of play. Like, you have to reward it, and you have to applaud it. But let me just ask some questions here.
Sure.
They have been an incredible defensive team this year, 6th in defensive rating. Any concern adding Tatum off of an Achilles weakens their defense because he is not as spry of an athlete? I would say yes to that.
So here's why this is, and I'll be quick. The reason my answer is no is Jaylen Brown is still going to play the same number of minutes he's playing. Derek White's still going to play the same number of minutes he's playing. I don't think Jason Tatum is going to be taking minutes from some of their best individual defenders, and I think because of his size alone, he's not going to be a negative defender at all.
Okay, and then I'll give you this one. Jason Tatum has led them in shot attempts. 6 straight years. Right now, and I was reading this, I think it was Ramona Shelburne, Jaylen Brown is 2nd in the NBA in usage rate. Luka 1, Jaylen Brown 2. Do you think we're about to see, because I do, I've seen Jason Tatum be passive at times. Are we going to just see a catch and shoot version of Tatum? Or is he going to lead them in shots by the playoffs?
No, I don't.
Because that is a weird dynamic to lower Brown's usage to try to get this guy up to speed. I think we're going to see a different Tatum.
I think we definitely will see a different Tatum, certainly early, and then we'll see how he looks. What I have been saying is he now has, in my opinion, 2 months not to get back to being vintage Tatum, but up to full speed where he can be this year, which call that 80%. Because I think the Celtics can basically be in cruise control from now until the start of round 2. They are not. They are going to be the 2 or the 3 seed. They are going to play either the Knicks or the Cavs in round 2, and that will be a real series. And that's when they are going to need not all NBA first team Jason Tatum, but could they get fringe all-star Jason Tatum? And that should be enough. And if not, luckily, if in round 2 they're playing your Cavs, you just have to roll the ball over to Harden and be like, just dribble a shot clock out.
Cavs are still the favorite. I'll explain why on Title Pie tomorrow.
Wow.
Enjoy the favorite of the East. Enjoy Japan, buddy.
Thank you, buddy.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.